Hey, so my name is Chlon. I am an accountant. I work with entertainers and small businesses um, within a broad capacity, managing their business and financial activities. If you may be familiar with some of the people that I've worked with, I actually started out working with a record label. I worked with Sedan Records. We've had Chlon, Trinidad James, and YFN Lucci are some of the bigger artists that we've had. And on the business management side, I work with YFN Lucci as a personal client. I work with nightclubs, I work with retailers, real estate developers, just a wide range of small businesses. So I have a lot of experience. So basically, that's kind of a summary of what I do. And I'm happy to be here today with all of you beautiful ladies. He's a mayoral candidate. He's currently running for mayor of Atlanta. His name is Michael Sterling. So I just wanted to just say this because I know with everything going on with the whole Donald Trump situation, for us, as people and as a community, what we have to understand is that our local officials affect our daily lives more than the President of the United States. And I know that everybody's always caught up in the presidential election. But, you also need to come out and you need to vote for these mayoral elections and these judicial elections and your sheriff and know who the people who are over the police departments in your community, because this is what's affecting you at home. You have to start at home. So make sure y'all go and y'all look into Michael Sterling. He's running for mayor of Atlanta, and vote. November 2017 is when the election is. So I just want to add that.
So yeah, I was just ranting, but yeah.
Chlon talking about credit, because I know you guys have a lot of questions about credit, whether it's how to improve your credit, whether it's building credit. She's the expert, so she'll talk to you about credit and other finance questions.
Okay, so I have about 15 minutes of your time, so I'm going to speak about some things that I felt were most important and keep it kind of basic, and if you guys have any questions, you can ask me after. So we all know that cash is king, but credit is queen, and we all know how important the queen is. Your credit report is basically made up of your credit report and your FICO score, and your credit report is just a collection of information detailing your credit history. And this collection of information comes from what we call data furnishers, and data furnishers are utility companies, lenders, creditors, and even the court system. So they're all sharing this information with credit bureaus about about your financial behavior from their experience with you. They're sharing it with the credit bureau. And lenders also use this credit report to actually determine your credit worthiness. And then you have your FICO score. Your FICO score is calculated by a company called Fair Isaac Corporation. The formula for the credit score is like this big secret. It's not public information. It's like secretly guarded for some reason. I don't know what that's about. But there are 5 very important components that they use to calculate your credit score, and they give weighted averages on how they impact your credit score. And the first one is your payment history. Your payment history is 35% of your credit score. So paying your bills on time is 35% of your credit score. So one of the most important things you want to make sure that you're doing with bills is, don't run from bill collectors, don't run from creditors, don't run from debtors. Communicate with them, let them know what you can do. It's, explain to them your situation. It doesn't matter if you only have $5 or $10 to pay or whatever it is. Just talk to them and let them know so that they don't report it to the collection agency, because it's not hurting them, it's hurting you. Every time you're 30, 60, 90, 120 days late, your credit score takes a hit. They're reporting it every single time. And these things sit on your credit for up to 2 years. So you always want to make sure you're paying your bills on time, keeping up with these things. Being very organized will help you as well. The second thing is going to be credit utilization, and this is 30% of your credit score. And basically what credit utilization is, it's a ratio they use. So it's basically your available credit to your actual line of credit. So what will get you a good report is maintaining at most a 20% balance on your line of credit. So you don't want to, and to help with that, if you never want to really spend over 50% of your credit line. Once you get to 50%, you want to try to pay it back down to the 20% because you're getting a good credit report that way if you're maintaining no more than that 20%. So, and with them looking at that, they're basically trying to say, well, this individual is, they're borrowing $1,000 and they spent $900 and they're paying $25 consistently, which is usually what's due. But that's not helping you either because all you're doing is incurring interest. And debt does not necessarily mean, someone having less debt than you doesn't necessarily mean that they have a better credit score than you. You could have $10,000 in debt, you could have $100,000 in debt, but you owe $8,000 and she only owes $17,000. 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, her credit score is going to be better than yours because that ratio is a lot smaller. Y'all follow me? Okay, the third component is going to be the length of your credit history. This is 15% of your credit score. So you want to, they like to see that you have experience with credit. So if you have any old credit accounts, don't close them. Even if you pay them down, leave them open. When you close them, things like that, that's a negative report to your credit, and it's not helpful. It doesn't. It's almost like going to get a job and they want to see your resume. They want to see what type of experience you have. It's the same thing with lenders in this corporation. They're looking at it to see what your credit experience is like. The fourth component is going to be your credit mix. Like, do you have a variety of credit? Do you have a mortgage? Do you have a car loan? Do you have credit cards? Retail credit cards. They like to see that you're kind of versatile and you're able to manage such a load of credit. And, you're able to manage such a load of credit. I'm like, what is that? You're able to manage such a load of credit, and you're maintaining it. They like to see, that type of thing. These things also are going to determine your interest rate. So even if you do get approved for certain things, you may have a high interest rate, which is, we always want to make sure that your interest rate is as low as possible. So they're taking into consideration all of these things. And then you have new credit. When you're opening up new lines of credit, you want to make sure that you give yourself some time between. You don't want to open up so many credit accounts within such a short period of time, because they're looking at that. So those are the 5 components, the major 5 components. You have payment history, you have credit utilization, you have length of history, credit mix, and you have new credit. Another thing you want to make sure you do is you want to implement some sort of credit monitoring system. I personally use Equifax.com. I've been using it for years. It probably took me 2 years to build my credit. It's not something that happens overnight. You're going to need a lot of patience. You're going to need motivation, and you're going to need to be extremely disciplined because you're going to have to give up a lot of habits that you're used to doing, a lot of behaviors that you're used to. You're going to have the discipline to be able to change that to accomplish that goal of having a higher credit score. So you can do, I think you do freecreditreport.com, Equifax.com is $9.99 a month. I think now actually, because I just signed a client up recently, I think it may be $12.99 actually right now. But what you want to do is you want to print out your credit report. If you can get them from all 3. You have Experience, TransUnion, and you have Equifax. You want to see what all of the credit bureaus are reporting on you. And they don't always, sometimes they have small differences, and that's because they may not, some credit bureaus may not be getting all of the information from these data furnishers. So sometimes it's not always the same, but you want to make sure that you address all of them. And going back to those 5 components, if you have no credit, then no credit is like bad credit because you don't have payment history, you don't have credit utilization, you don't have any of those components because you have no credit. So there's nothing for them to look at. So there are rights that you have. It's just a matter of knowing, and like I said, via the responsibility that they have for us, they have to provide us this information. If they want to know, if there's anything that we want to know about our account, they have to tell us. So back to if anyone has no credit, ways that you can kind of build credit if you're having a difficult time opening an account. There are a couple things that you can do. One of which is called a secure credit card. which basically it works is you're basically using your own money. So you get a $500 limit, and you can go and you pay the $500 on the card, and you're using it and you're paying on it, maintaining that $500. You still want to stick to that 20% because it's now reporting to the credit bureau about your history and your credit utilization and things of those natures. It's reporting that. So you want to make sure you're treating it just as a credit card, even if it's your own money. Once you've built your credit up, then you'll be able to apply for an actual credit card, and you'll begin to establish your own personal credit history. You can also get with a spouse or your mom or sisters or whatever, and you can ask someone. I wouldn't do it, but you can ask. I would do it for someone else probably. But you can ask someone if you can be an authorized user on their credit card. So if they feel like you're responsible enough, or what you probably could do, what I would recommend doing is if you take that route, then you use the credit card basically just maybe to pay your bills. So you have the money to pay your bills, and you just pay your bills with your credit card, and you just pay the credit card back. But it's helping you, especially if this person also has good credit, it's helping you to build your credit score. And in that way, they can actually, once your credit score has built, once again, you can begin to apply for your own lines of credit in your own credit card. So that's how you can establish your credit if you don't have no credit. And Discover has them. Capital One has them. I think one of the best ones is that has the best interest rates and benefits would be Discover. But for the most part, I had a couple kind of clients who came in, because sometimes I deal with, when I work with rappers, they're young and they're recently coming into a lot of money, and they don't have no credit, and they have no financial literacy. So what we do usually is establish these secure credit cards with the bank that we're using. You can do that as well. You can go to the bank that you're actually banking with and get a secure credit card with them. Now, if you have bad credit, the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure you have those copies of your credit report. And the first thing you want to do is halt all credit card spending. You are to spend nothing. That's the first thing you're going to do. And don't incur any more debt. Don't open up any more credit cards if you know you're trying to pay down the ones that you have. And secondly, you need to create a budget. And you can actually do that on my website. My website is BeMyCheckmate.com, and you just go to the info center, and then you can click on budget template. And there's a template on there where you can enter in all of your income and your expenses, and it'll auto-populate a budget for you. And basically what you can do with that budget is, so you want to write these things down. You can I have chalkboard paint in my room and in my dining room, so I just write little reminders on it. Anything that I have to do, or a checklist, or important things, or just things that I want to wake up to. Like I have my short and long-term goals on a chalkboard wall over my bed. And in my dining room, because sometimes I don't always go to my office, sometimes I sit at my table and work, so I have a big chalkboard wall behind me, and I kind of put different things back there that I need to see. So if you're working on building your credit, what you want to do is take that credit report that you have, and you want to make sure you write down all of the information, everybody that you owe and how much you owe them. Okay, and once you've gone online and you've established your budget, you'll know how much excess funds you have after you fulfill your monthly obligations. And what you can do is you can take that amount, you can put it in a completely separate account, but each month each month you have that number in your head of money that you know that this is all I can spend, this is all I have. So your monthly obligations are fulfilled. Okay, you can either take the money out of the bank, put it in an envelope, whatever works for you. To get these things done. Of course, this is going to take, like I said, discipline. So while you're paying off your monthly credit cards, fulfilling those obligations, you're going to line up all of your lines of credit and your debt, starting with the one that's the largest. Okay? So while you're still maintaining those monthly bills that are due for those lines of credit, you're taking additional money and you're paying down that first large debt. Each month, you may say, okay, I'm going to take 15%. Personally, I take 15% because I have this whole debt-free concept of life that I want to live. Like, I want to be debt-free. I don't want to have any debt. I want to own everything, and I don't want to owe anybody shit. So I basically, and I also want to retire early. I want to retire between 45 and 50. So I focus on not necessarily establishing so many new businesses, I'm trying to establish sources of passive income that I don't have to work for. You know, like dividends and rental income and things like that. And that's another thing I was going to say about credit. There is good debt. There's what you call income producing debt. So if you have good credit, and I have a lot of clients that do this too, but most of the time I have to be honest, I don't see too many black women. Most of them are white women, actually. But what they're doing is they're using their credit to purchase properties, and then they rent out the properties to tenants. They get mortgage on multiple properties, put tenants in them, and basically let the tenants pay off the mortgage. So you can use your credit for something like that. So for example, you have 5 properties, and the mortgage on them is $700 per month. You put a tenant in them, and you might charge them $1,200. That $500 a month for each of those properties, that $2,500 is passive income for you. That's money you don't have to work for. And if you establish enough of that, then you'll be set. You know, that's the type of life that I want to ultimately live, debt free and retire on passive income. I don't want to work forever. Don't get me wrong, I'm a hard worker, and not even necessarily retiring, but not working if I don't feel like it, or if I choose to say I don't want to work for the next 6 months or 3 months, I don't have to, because the money is still coming like clockwork. Back to with the bad credit. So you establish it, you have all of your lines of credit, or everything that's on your credit report lined up. The first thing you want to do before you even start paying them off is dispute things. You want to see what you can get knocked out by a dispute. If everybody's kind of responding, like I said, you can go back and forth with them if you want to. It's going to take patience. I would say at least try 2 to 3 times to get it off before you actually make payments on it. But if that doesn't work, you can call, you can make payment arrangements. You can settle, or you can make payment arrangements to pay it off. Settling would be more cost efficient, but at the same time, it's more of a favorable approach to pay it off. Because even when lenders look at your credit report and they see that you settled something, they looking at it like, well, you know, she didn't pay them, so she's not going to pay us either. You know, she just settled out. So if you set up some sort of payment plan, that would be more favorable. But it's all up to, you know, what you feel is best for you. But making those payments is what's going to help your credit go up. And you want to do, and if you're working on building your credit, you want to do things that's going to help your credit increase. So with that extra budget, you're committing to 10 to 15% that you're going to pay towards that largest bill, and you just continue doing that. And once you pay off that first one, you move on to the second one, while you're also still maintaining your monthly obligations. You're continuing to do that. Pay it down to 20%. You don't necessarily have to pay it off. You don't want to pay your credit card off every month, because as fortunate as it sounds, it's a two-way street when you're working with creditors. They make their money off of interest. So if you're paying your credit card bill off every month, they're not making any money. So they're not necessarily going to give you a positive rapport with the credit bureau. It's not going to help. So if you maintain that 20% balance, you'll continue to get that's so unfortunate, it's selfish, but they are giving you their money. So obviously they want to be able to make some sort of money. So just if you can keep it, you know, between that 0 to 20%, that 0 to 20% benchmark. So, you know, like I said, you're going to continue paying. You move on to the second one and to the third one until you paid all these things down, and you continue doing that for over time. And you want to check in on your credit report every 2 to 4 months to make sure that it's increasing, because it takes time, and you know, you have to have patience. So you just have to make sure everything is organized and make sure you're sticking to whatever your plan is. I have a budget, and I'll share my budget with you all every month that I get paid. So I do my savings accounts online. I tried doing like a credit union that was far away so that I wouldn't touch the money, because sometimes I would find myself, oh, I'm just going to take $1,000, I'm going to take $500, I'm going to go over here, you know, and you just find yourself touching your savings when you shouldn't be. So what I did was I started 3 accounts online with online savings account, and for 3 different things. So these accounts pay compounded interest. Most bank accounts, they have maintenance fees, and you put $1,000 in the bank and you don't touch it, by the end of the year it's $900. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to be making more money. you're supposed to be making money as opposed to losing money. So it's no benefit for you. With online savings accounts, there are no maintenance fees, there are no bank fees. After you do not touch your money for the first year, they pay 1.05 compounded interest on the money. No bank is doing that. So every month that I get paid, I've committed to paying myself first, 20%. Before I pay any of my bills, I pay myself first, 20% of my income. And I put that amount into my savings, and then I pay all my bills, and then I take an extra 15% off of that margin, that budget margin, and then I pay it towards my largest debt account until I pay that, which is my car. Until I pay that down, and once I pay that down, I'm going to move on to other debt that I have to pay those things down. So that's kind of how I operate. And like I said, if you guys do need some sort of budget template, I do have one on my website. And again, it's mycheckmate.com, and you just go to Info Center, and then you're going to go to the budget template, and it'll basically automatically update it for you. Do you guys have any questions?
You can take 3 questions. Anybody?
Anybody?
The 0 to 20% benchmark. I'm sorry. So you were saying?
Yeah. So basically, that 0 to 20% benchmark is basically you have $1,000. If you have $1,000 line of credit, you don't want to ever have a balance of more than $200. So you always want your balance to be 20% of your credit line or less.
Okay.
And each month you'll get a favorable report to the credit bureau from your creditor for maintaining that.
Okay.
Okay.
What about credit for your business? How important is that, or do you have any advice on how to utilize your, I guess, business
I mean, credit for your business is just as important as it is personal credit, and you always want to treat it like that, because you'll probably get larger credit lines with your business. If you have not, and someone asked me about it earlier, if you have not established any type of any type of line of credit with a business, you can do that with a bank. You're going to need a business plan if you don't have one. And like I was explaining to her, one of the most important segments of that will be the financial segment, because they're going to want to know how they're going to make their money, and what's in it for them, basically how long it's going to take them to get it back. You can go in and you can get once you just start that relationship with a bank, you can go in and they'll give you a business credit card, and that's how you establish your line of credit with your business, and you treat it the same way as it is with your personal. It's just as important. So.
Hi ladies, I'm Drea. Is there a range? I know you mentioned 2 years, but I know my mom was telling me 5 years by the time things kind of just walk away from your credit report.
It took me 2 years to, so there are some things that sit, there's a difference between, it took me 2 years to build my credit. But there are things that sit on your credit. Most things sit on your, inquiries sit on your credit for 2 years. Bad credit, the inquiries, when you go and you apply for something and they inquire with your credit report to see what it is, 2 years. If you have any bad credit notifications, 7 years. If it's bankruptcy, I think chapter 7 is 7 to 10 years, and then chapter 13 is 7 years. But those things can be disputed. Inquiries can be disputed. Any of those things can be disputed prior to those 7 years, but it does take 7 years for something to fall off of your credit. It just took me 2 years to build my credit to where I needed it to be.
Thank you.
I have one last minute question. I'm sorry. I have a colleague who's into the same work that you do, and she's on LinkedIn all the time. She's talking about trade lines. Can you elaborate more on what it is, if you are aware of what trade lines are?
Those are the lines of credit for your business.
They're the lines of credit?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what
Can
we
I
were.
speak on it?
Actually, you put that, that's
Yeah,
personal.
she can.
Okay, what a trade line is basically is if it's a line of credit from an individual who has credit. So what happens is you will go to someone who has a trade line, and you would go to someone who has good credit, and you will ask them, most of the time, somebody that you know, family-wise, because it has to be trustworthy because it's credit. So what a trade line is basically is your credit. So let's say I'm subject A and my credit is at 720, and I have a Capital One credit card for 5 years, and I have perfect credit standing with Capital One never missed a payment, always paid on time. Now, I may not have paid in full, but I paid